Good morning. Good morning. Once again, it's Freedom Green, Darren Freedom Green, on Monday morning, Trentonian.com. Got ourselves a house full of great guests today, people who are in the city doing significant things, not on the sideline talking, squawking, and crying, but actually putting their foot to the pavement and leading by example, but also inspiring others to do the same. First off, out the gate, out the batter's box, my main man, Sam Frisby.
What's up,
How are
Fred?
you,
How you
bro?
doing, brother? I'm good, man.
It's good having you, bro. Thanks for coming on.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
First and foremost, announce yourself to the listeners. Everybody doesn't know you like I do.
My name is Samuel Frisby. I'm a freeholder here in Mercer County. I'm also the CEO of the Trenton YMCA.
All right. Okay. So we'll go right into that. There are a lot of things people are wondering. There's some things in terms of the boys' club, the Y. What is the Y? Why should people come to the Y? What makes the Y significant?
The YMCA, if you look at it, is one of the most significant organizations in the country,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
One of the oldest nonprofits in the country, not just the Trenton YMCA, but YMCAs in general.
Okay.
YMCAs were formulated in 1844, started in England, came to the United States in 1851.
Nice.
The Trenton YMCA was opened up in 1856.
Okay.
So we're one of the 12 oldest YMCAs in the country.
Wow.
YMCAs, what makes them so significant is the fact that they deal with relevant issues for the community.
Okay.
Okay, so if you remember I think it's the USO that deals with military and soldiers.
Okay.
The YMCA was one of the organizations that started that.
Nice.
And so when you understand what's going on in the community,
Okay.
you see YMCA's dealing with those relevant issues.
Okay.
Right now we're dealing with childhood obesity. Right now
Nice.
we're dealing with social issues.
Right.
We're about community.
Okay.
And so the thing that I love about the YMCA, I mean, many people will know me from the city
Right.
when I used to work with recreation.
Exactly.
And I didn't know very much about YMCA's when I was with the city.
Okay.
But as I started to really do the research, one of the things that I understood was YMCA's speak to families.
Okay.
You know, when people think about the city of Trenton, people who don't live in the city of Trenton,
Mm-hmm.
they don't think about families.
Right.
They think about people that live in a city.
I agree.
YMCA's, when you see YMCA's around the country, you think about families.
Okay.
Because what YMCA's do is they allow kids and adults to be able to recreate and learn and do social things in the same space.
Nice.
So when you think about it, Boys and Girls Club is a great organization, one
Okay.
of the best in the country.
Right.
But they deal with children. They
Okay.
deal with children and teenagers.
Okay.
You can go to Gold's Gym or Curves, but there's no place for your kids to do anything there.
Right. Right.
That's for adults.
Okay.
The YMCA is a place where you can do it all. And
Okay.
so my children take martial arts while my wife goes and works out in the fitness center.
Nice.
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 We've brought in Tai Chi and things like that.
Okay.
So that people can take that while their kids are playing basketball.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's really about speaking to the whole individual when you talk about YMCA's.
Okay. Well put as always. Touching in on families, which I think is very important, and one of the things I love about this show is an opportunity to really just talk to people straight talk.
Yeah.
I think a large part of why Trenton struggles is because we haven't developed young men and women into the reality of man and woman, which are the individuals who become parents and then produce children.
Yes,
and
sir.
you either have a cyclical thinking of good or what we presently have now, which is horrible. We need to be honest about that. What is the Y doing in terms of the family dynamics and developing family and really developing individuals as a whole?
Well, when you look at our YMCA, we actually have a preschool with 60 children in it.
Okay.
We run programs for those parents. We're doing healthy eating programs.
Nice.
We're doing programs on parenting, things of that nature. It's
Okay.
about making that connection.
Right.
And so everything that we do has some type of connection back to the parents.
Okay.
Just being able to have adults in the building who speak to their children with respect.
Nice.
When you have other children in the building,
Right.
people watch me, my wife, with our kids,
Right.
and I have young people ask, well, why do you do that? Because most people don't know, but I have one son who has special needs.
That's right.
And so it gives young people and adults an opportunity to see different parenting styles, different
Right.
parenting skills,
Right.
different levels of parenting,
Right.
and that's what we want to be able to do. It's about creating the whole village. You
I
can't
agree.
have one of anything, and when people only see one of something, they say, okay, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
So for us, it's about creating classes to help people with different things, whether it's how to cook properly,
Okay.
or we actually have a new course of babysitting coming in to teach
Nice.
young teenage boys and girls who want to make an extra dollar, but they need to get certified in babysitting so that they
Right.
understand how to deal with children.
That's different.
So I mean, it's about doing all those things. It's about
Right.
making sure that the microcosm of the community
Right.
is seen when you come to the YMCA.
I like that. I like that. Very well put. And again, I think a part of our problem in the city is we really don't have a lot of mediums to go through to develop people, and I certainly salute you for that. You mentioned you were once the director for the city in terms of recreation
Correct.
development. What is some of the expertise you bring from that job to this job in terms of really getting back to wholesome recreation and a diversity? I heard your name, Tai Chi, and the different things. What are you guys doing other than, I'm just going to be straight with it. A lot of minorities are programmed. It's basketball, it's basketball, it's basketball.
Yeah,
All of our kids don't need to play basketball.
that's right.
And we all don't need to think we're Michael Jordan. We need to open ourselves up to golf and Tai Chi and chess and
Yeah.
other sports and soccer and things of that nature. What are you guys doing to implement or encourage some diversity in terms of sports programs?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because well, you know how I feel about those sorts of things.
Yeah.
When I was with the city of Trenton, one of the things that we did was we actually tried to create programs that didn't have basketball in them,
Right.
because everybody else in the city was doing basketball. You could go
Yeah.
to any rec center and they're doing basketball.
That's all they do.
For us, it's about how do we create other programs? So we brought golf in
Okay.
on Saturdays, and they were doing indoor golf. They'll come back again next winter. But now we're also partnered with First Tee
Nice.
in the Trenton Junior Grader Golf Program, which
Nice.
actually operates out of Cadwater Park.
Okay.
In the wintertime, they didn't have a place to operate, so we brought them into the Y.
Nice.
We actually also just created a grant with NJTL, the National Junior Tennis League and Learning.
Okay.
And so they'll be coming in on some evenings and afternoons, but we'll also be shipping kids out to Cadwater Park at the
Nice.
new facility that is now built out there, that I'm very
It's
proud
beautiful.
of, because I had a major hand in making sure that happened.
Right.
But it's about bringing those types of programs in, making sure that we have chess for the young people, making sure that lacrosse comes back to the city.
Yes.
We're actually working with, most people don't know, but I started a wrestling program
Really?
for young people here in the city
Okay.
when I was part of the Department of Recreation.
Okay.
And the reason that I started that wrestling program is because I realized that we didn't have any young people going to college on scholarships for wrestling.
Right.
But there are over 1,900 scholarships given out a year in
Right.
wrestling.
Wow.
The challenge was that our children weren't starting early enough.
Okay.
So when you look at the Bethea boys, who are now very good,
Oh, wow.
the Bethea boys started when they were 5 and 6 years old in Princeton wrestling.
Right.
There's a Mercer County wrestling program that came to me back in 07.
Okay.
And they said, look, Sam, if you want your kids to be good, you have to start them early. So we
Right.
actually started a program back in 07
Nice.
where young people started wrestling at the ages of 5 and 6 here in the city.
Nice.
We're actually bringing that over to the Y right now.
Okay.
So Monument Schools agreed to be the site for that. So we'll actually have a children's wrestling program, but then a middle school wrestling program. So we have a
Nice.
full feeder program.
Nice.
It's really about creating a continuum. What you have in our city, and I've worked and lived in a whole lot of different cities.
Right.
And Trenton's a little bit different than many places that I've worked and lived. And so in this city, we don't have continuums.
No.
We don't have feeder programs.
I agree.
What we have are individual fiefdoms.
Right.
And so people start programs, but there's nothing that connects the child to the next level.
Next level. I agree.
And so when you go to other communities, especially communities where they're either athletic programs are very good,
Right.
or the chess programs are very good, what you see is a continuum.
Right.
They start them early, and then they give them an outlet someplace else in the middle to be able to connect to the high school,
I agree.
so that when they have the opportunity, now that child says, this is what I want to do.
Right.
And that child's able to kind of matriculate along in order to get to the point in life where they want to be.
Good. Excellent point. I think a part of what Trenton schools failed in, and I'm not sure who orchestrated, but it was the removal of the sports and what you were saying again in the middle school area. Because a lot of times when our young people are in that gray area, they're looking at the young men and women in front of them who are young teenagers. Some of them good, some of them bad. But then when they don't find their identity where they are at the present point in time, they kind of drift off. You lose them to the streets, or they're disconnected. And then school and education and after school programming and sports, which used to be 1 and 2, if you didn't have good grades, you couldn't play the sport you wanted to, then you lose them. So is there some specific program you guys have that's set up to keep that continuum going?
Well, not currently.
Okay.
I took over the Y in September, and
Okay.
my biggest issues when I took over in September, the YMCA over on Pennington Avenue had exactly 34 members. It was challenged.
Right.
Now we have almost 600 members.
Nice.
So we've made a change,
No
and the
doubt.
goal is to get to 1,500 members in the next year.
No doubt.
And so when we do that, we create more programs. So I also had to make sure that we were fiscally stable,
Okay.
and we did that. And so now the Y is blossoming. We're fiscally stable. We're moving along with our programs. That's a program that I want to see. There are multiple components to that what you just talked about.
Right.
One is you're exactly right. When you look at middle school sports programs countywide, we're the only county that the only sport, we're the only municipality that the only sport that we actually had for middle school was basketball.
Yeah.
It's the only sport.
Sad.
When you look at the other municipalities, they had track,
Right.
they had basketball, they had soccer, they had all these other sports that young people could play in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Right.
So we need to change that. But where we're really failing our young people is, and a lot of people aren't going to like it, but we're failing our young people at the parental level.
I agree.
One of the things that I've had the opportunity to do is to work in most of the 30 Abbott districts, most of the 31 Abbott districts.
Right.
And then something that's consistent that I see in all those districts.
Right.
The lack of parent involvement. Now, when I go to school districts that seem to be successful, what you see is very strong parent involvement. I tell this story every place I go. My wife and I used to live in East Orange, and she's originally from Jersey City.
Okay.
My nephew, who we took custody of, went to East Orange Middle School. We built a home south of here in West Hampton so that he could go to the Rancocas Valley School District.
Nice.
Now, I was working in all the Abbott districts while he was going to that school district.
Okay.
I went to the school one day and saw 1,000 cars in the parking lot, and I was upset because I didn't know anything about the meeting.
Okay.
So when he got into the car, because I was picking him up from JRRTC, I said, no, we're going to the school. I need to find the principal and find out why I didn't know anything about this meeting.
Right.
I walk into the school and asked the principal about it. He said, well, does your child go to school here? I said, this is him. He said, oh, this meeting wasn't for you. He said, this is the parents from 8th grade students who will be going here next year. Now, this was in March of the previous year. Wow. So this is for the parents of kids who will be going here next year.
Preparation.
So those parents were there in the building. Now, conversely, when I worked at Louise A. Spencer, which was the largest K-8 school in the state of New Jersey, right, in the middle of Stellarite projects up in Newark, New Jersey,
okay,
and on a back-to-school night with 1,500 kids in the school, I had 50 parents come out to a back-to-school night. So when you compare those, you begin to understand why we have the challenges that we have in our community. So we need the sports programs, but what we need even more than that is we need parents that are engaged and connected to what the educational process looks like for their child.
I agree. Well put. Since we're on that, let's hammer home a little bit more, because I think sometimes we don't know how to properly assess and then address issues. Part of our problem is a failing school system from top down, administrative-wise, that we can't control. But what we can control is the parental involvement, as you stated, in terms of this young generation of parents who keep opting for the exit marked peers instead of being parents. What are you guys doing at the Y? Because you're doing a lot of great work in terms of developing families and individuals. What are you doing specifically to help these young parents understand their responsibility that the streets, the teachers, the school system, the community is not obligated to raise their children? They have to do that.
Well, it starts again with our preschool, because that's the entry level for us in dealing with parents that are sending children to our school district.
Okay.
And so when parents come through to our preschool, it's about responsibility.
Okay.
When there are issues in the school, we talk to them about their responsibility in this. Our responsibility, yes, but it's their responsibility as well.
No doubt.
And so there aren't programs that we're running, but for us, again, it's about life issues. How do you deal with it in real time?
Okay.
Because we're dealing with the next educational generation,
yes, you are,
with our preschool, when they come into our school.
Yes,
and we're dealing with the next generation of parents that are working with that educational generation.
Okay.
So when you look at things like Healthy Kids Day, which is coming up this upcoming Saturday, we've got talking about healthy eating, healthy living, how do you keep your mind, body, and spirit right? Those are things that we're bringing to the parents. So it's not only the child, bike safety, but we're talking to the parent as well.
No doubt.
Because you can talk to a child about bike safety and wearing a helmet, but if the parent doesn't buy them a helmet and make sure that they wear it. Now, my son, we talk about bike safety all the time. He hates wearing his helmet. But when we go out and ride together, he's got to wear his helmet.
That's right.
I'm the parent. That's my job.
Not an option.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And so, unless we're doing that for our children, unless we're ensuring that our parents understand that they have to do that for our children, we're missing the mark.
I agree.
You know, so we're real excited about Healthy Kids Day. We want people to come out. It's going to be from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock this upcoming Saturday.
Okay.
You know, again, it'll be about, you know, mental health. It'll be about physical health. It'll be about nutritional health. You know, there'll be organizations there that can help you through if you're having issues in your home. You know, so you need to get some environmental things right in your home. There'll be organizations there that'll be talking about that as well.
Okay.
You know, so we've got to begin to talk about a healthy generation, a healthier generation.
Right.
You know, you know that I've been involved with, and the YMCA has been taking the the lead on this, along with Robert Wood Johnson, a grant that we got, along with the New Jersey Partnership for Healthy Kids, in terms of talking about childhood obesity.
Okay.
You know,
very important
in the city of Trenton. You know, what we're finding are we're getting 3 to 5 year old children that have type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
You know, that means that you've got children that are going to be on medication or could be on medication for the rest of their lives.
No, I agree.
You know, when you talk about our children in the weight factors and how they eat and the healthy, you know, just be living more healthily.
Right.
You know, that's a huge challenge that has been created in this city that we now have to deal with, because what happens is it leads to other issues.
Right. I agree.
You know, it leads to other issues. You know, African American men in high school or young men in high school are not showing signs of issues of their eating. But what you and I know is the African American men, you know, lead the rest of this country in terms of hypertension, high blood pressure, and things of that nature when they reach into their 30s and 40s.
Right.
And so, although it's not catching up to them, their eating habits when they're in high school, because they're incredibly active, it catches up and takes a toll on their body later on down the road.
I agree. I agree. Well put. And that is something we certainly need to pay attention to. And we as adults have to be the facilitators for our young people in terms of not only just talking and teaching them the right things, but also leading by example. And as my mother always says to me, infantile minds can't have choices. You have to actually give them directions and then show them how to do things, because if you give them an option, they're going to make the wrong choice. So I think that's an excellent, I think you're actually doing phenomenal work over there, bro. And to be able to turn that community around citywide and be able to bring people in who now have a trust variable established with the Y, because you're not only talking the talk, but you're walking the walk, and made the facility friendly in a time where there's economic constraints. And a lot of programs are being taken away. You guys are actually offering more programs. So again, I want to salute and commend you as you continue to keep working there. Let's get into the county part of what you do, because sometimes you can get so fixated on that, which is 24/7 work.
No question.
Let's talk a little bit about you and your role as a county freeholder. Kind of explain, because I think a large part of why we struggle in Trenton specifically is we have an uneducated population, and people really don't know the pieces of the puzzle, so they don't know how to reach out to those pieces and then incorporate themselves into the equation called life to work with them. What is a county freeholder?
I'm glad you asked, because most people don't know. I mean, that was on my campaign trail last year, that I was talking to people and they were like, what does a freeholder actually do?
Right.
And that's actually not just in Trenton. You know, I was in Princeton and people were saying, what does a freeholder do?
Right.
They're incredibly important. Freeholders are that mid-level government. First of all, it's county government. And so it's mid-level between the municipalities and the state. Okay, we have last year a $289 million budget.
Okay.
And so we impact your taxes.
Right.
But a freeholder is basically like being city council for the whole county.
I got you.
Okay, so you have an executive branch, which would be the mayor of municipalities, but the county executive at the county level.
I got you.
And then you have the legislative branch, which is us. And so we're the check and balance for the county executive and his staff.
Okay.
So we look at the budget. You know, we say where we think money should be spent.
Right.
If they bring us a budget, right now we're in the middle of budget process.
Okay.
And so the budget is ours. And we're looking at it saying, okay, we don't think you need as much here because you didn't spend that last year. We're going to take that. And, you know, we would like to see more of these types of programs. So, you know, we're going to reallocate some of the money over here. And so, you know, county government, freeholders, that's one of the things that we do. We also look at the legislation for certain areas. And I give you the example of at the 130 junction up in Robbinsville, when they were rebuilding that whole junction. There was an issue where they had to make a pass-through for trucks. Well, many of the trucks didn't stop using that pass-through once the the connection to 130 was happening. The community started having some real issues there. And so what we did was we put legislation in place at the county level and signed off on it to say, okay, the city police or the municipal police in Robbinsville can ticket any truck that goes down this particular path because it's no truck over this amount of weight should be on that particular road.
Right.
And so we're always looking at the legislation and policy countywide.
Okay.
Looking at open space, looking at the correctional facility, looking at the juvenile facility, looking at the airport, which is also county run. Okay. So looking at all those things, those are things that fall under the purview of the county executive and the Freeholder board.
Okay. You mentioned the juvie detention center. A lot of people are kind of confused about that situation with the detention center. I was on Parks. I actually used to work there myself. There is a volume of violence going on with our young people, and detention isn't the only answer. But certainly I support it in certain instances because it removes and actually isolates problematic young people, sometimes in states of crisis. I've had kids sometimes in there who at certain points would actually say to me, Free, I'm actually happy I'm in here because I'm living. Based on, like, right now, the city's in a real critical state in terms of violence. People are being killed in broad daylight. What is the county looking to do with the detention center being closed? What are they going to do with that facility? What are they doing in regards to the young people, the violence, and dealing with them from a hands-on perspective?
Well, understand that the facility right now, there are no real plans for the facility. Closing of the facility was not closing it to say, okay, we want that particular asset back. The closing of the facility was actually to move part of what we deemed a service that can be combined with another county. So a shared service with Middlesex County. And so our young people that go to detention actually are being taken up to Middlesex County and housed there. I used to work Department of Corrections. That was my first job out of college. I was DOC down in Washington, D.C. And this is one of the most critical points where we actually touch young people. And so what we've done is, from the county level, is we actually put more money into Mary Grace's, which is social services, to actually deal with them there. Part of the challenge that we were having with the youth detention center is that the county was the state was kind of driving numbers down, because what they did was they created a new program at the state level. Which, for an offense that normally would have gotten you locked up 5 years ago, they say, oh, send them home on a bracelet. And so what the challenge was, that the county could not justify the amount of money that it was spending, to keep that facility open for the number of young people that were actually in it, because of the new system that they had put in place.
Statewide.
Exactly, statewide. And so that's happening in many other places. And Mercer County has actually, been one of the first to say, let's go shared services. And now other counties are actually starting to follow. So, you have other counties saying, you know what, we're going to farm out our juvenile detention center to either Middlesex or Burlington or wherever else they're doing it. So, I mean, it's a challenging, process. What I always say is that when you have that void in government, because a lot of people think government should do it all, and I think the government is really the safety net, for the people when other institutions aren't doing the work.
I agree.
So for the most challenged of our community, or for the business sector of our community, we're that safety net in order to create opportunities for them in other places. But I believe that this is a great opportunity for nonprofits. Because even though the county now doesn't have a juvenile detention center, we also have nonprofits that do that type of work. And we need those nonprofits to begin to step up, because it's not just in Trenton. I was the guest speaker at the Soup Kitchen on Saturday. And what we're finding is that now they're needing a soup kitchen in some other places in parts of Princeton. They're needing a soup kitchen in Heightstown. They have a satellite in Heightstown now. So you have your soup kitchen is now expanding because they're a nonprofit that works and they meet the needs of some of the most vulnerable and most challenged of our community.
I agree.
And so when there's an opportunity like this, nonprofits get the opportunity to step up.
I definitely agree with that. And certainly what needs to happen, I think we have really a plethora of nonprofits right now. It's just we don't have a real secure sense of accountability within them, and that needs to be something we work on as well. Not just, as you said, from a government perspective, from people. Because again, if you live in an area and you have organizations who are getting money acclimated to them in terms of what they're doing, or allocated to them, then we as individual citizens should hold those organizations responsible to reach and teach and do what they're supposed to be doing. You're getting tax dollars that we pay for, and at the end of the day, you're not providing the service. So again, this is why I continue to love doing what we're doing here, because we're educating and showing people that it's not about pointing fingers. It's not about always looking to get off the hook or wild out or sit on the sideline yelling and cursing. Serves no purpose in terms of being a viable component of a process that allows us all to be better individuals and citizens and bring about a responsibility. Question I had in terms of the county and its resources. We in Trenton have the libraries, unfortunately, was shut down based off budgetary issues. County runs a phenomenal library system across the county. What is the county and the freeholders looking to do to help Trenton out with their dilemma in terms of our closed libraries? Very, very, very problematic for me in terms of our young people, specifically minorities here in the city, who have horrific literacy problems. And we close the one thing that we still didn't use properly, but the fact that it was open provided the opportunity for
it was available.
Yeah. So is the county doing anything to engage the city government in terms of working to reopen those libraries?
The county is not, because that is not it's not a county function.
Okay.
One of the things that I would say, because what ended up happening was the city missed the boat.
Okay.
And I found this out before I became a freeholder, because I took my children to the library up on Route 1 and they saw some books they liked. And I said, well, let's take them out. And I didn't realize I couldn't. They said, oh, you live in Trenton. You can't. I said, I pay taxes. Why can't I? They said, well, you guys aren't part of the county system. And so didn't realize that at that particular point in time. I've been actually researching how do we do that, because when I've spoken with some of the county officials, they said, well, Trenton kind of missed the boat. It'd be difficult to go back. There are certain things that have to happen, like the county owns all of those buildings that they're in. So right now the city owns its library. If the county was going to make them part of the system, they'd have to own it. But not only would they need to own it, but they'd also need to make sure that it was sound. So all the capital fixes that need to happen, like roof that leaks, issues in the building, radon in the building, or asbestos in the building, all those things would have to be removed by the municipality before the county actually took it over. And so I've been researching on how do we do this, because I think that it's probably one of the best solutions. What most people don't realize is that there's actually a government formula for how much money you're actually supposed to spend in a library. Now, when we were going through all the issues in Mayor Palmer's last year of his administration, I went and did the research. Now, the state said that the city of Trenton really should have only been giving about $900,000 to its particular library to help in the upkeep of that library. The city of Trenton was giving $3.4 million to our libraries in order to keep them open. That's a challenge when there's a formula that says this is what you should be doing, and you're doing 3 times, almost 4 times more than what you're actually supposed to do. So, I mean, that creates its own challenges. So I think that is probably one of the best solutions for the county to come in and take over the libraries, make that part of its system, so that now people in Trenton can also be part of the county system and be able to take out books any place they want to take out books.
And the county runs a very efficient and effective system. That's the library I actually go to, the one on Route 1, and they're actually open on Sundays as well. And it's always clean, professional, and there's an environment of a library. I think in the city of Trenton, one of the things I would love to do, and certainly I don't mind helping you do this at the Y, we need to begin to teach people the importance of libraries, the importance of how we operate in libraries. It's not a babysitting service. It's not a place to come down and play video games. It is a learning environment. And I think too many times we as citizens don't learn how to do things properly. And we just keep a continuum of just ignorant behavior. When you go in and people are loud or they're vagrant or they're wide open, and again, you look around and you're studying, you're saying, is this the library or the mall? So again, we want to get back to checking ourselves and being responsible. When you're in a library, act as such. Even when you go to Barnes and Nobles up Route 1, there's nobody yelling, talking, and screaming across the floor. People are understanding and appreciative of the environment. So again, I think some of the work that needs to be done is just the development of human beings. Certainly, I don't have a problem helping you do that at the Y and the work that you're doing. Moving forward, you have an election coming up.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of your goals, some of your aspirations in terms of the continued work in Freeholder? What are some of the things you're looking to work on?
Well, it's critical. Well, first, I want to explain, because most people say, well, he just ran last year. Why is he running again? When Assemblyman Daniel Benson went to the assembly.
Okay.
Had left the seat open on the Freeholder board.
Okay.
I ran in committee and won because we were able to fill that because I am a Democrat and a Democratic seat was able to be filled.
Okay.
The next year, which was last year, I had to run in order to complete his term.
Okay.
His term completes this upcoming year.
Right.
So now I'm currently running for my own 3-year term.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
And so that's why I'm running again. And so we need people to get to the polls. I do want to serve because to me this is about community service. I'm about constituent services. I want to talk to people. I want to be able to help people through some of their challenges. We have a gentleman who is, who's been coming to my office because his father is in hospice care and he can't get an issue taken care of at his father's home.
Right.
So this father can come out of hospice and actually go home.
Okay.
That's one of the things that we've been working with him on. As a freeholder, my aide is working with him to make sure that he can get through McBoss and get everything that he needs through McBoss.
Okay.
But as a freeholder, it's about constituent services. But I also believe that we have an opportunity in this county to really generate some revenue.
Okay.
And people have heard me talk about this before. When you live in a county that's as historically significant as Mercer County is, we need to capitalize on that. Tourism was an $8 billion industry 3 years ago in this country.
What is it now?
It's not as strong right now because money's going down. But in New Jersey alone, it was huge. Mercer County needs to get more of that, and that comes with us actually interpreting what we have and making linkages. And I explain this to people all the time. When you look at Williamsburg, Williamsburg is historically significant. I don't think as historically significant, in my opinion, as Trenton and Mercer County, the capital county. This is the turning point of the revolution.
I agree.
So they make a lot of money down there. They figured out how to interpret themselves. But the one thing they figured out how to do is they figured out how to market themselves as a region.
Right.
You don't go to Williamsburg and say, I'm just going to Williamsburg proper.
Right.
My wife and I were astounded. We took our boys down there when they were young because I just wanted them to get the exposure. And I wanted to go. I'd never been to Williamsburg.
Right.
I went to Williamsburg and saw, and they said, before we even got on Williamsburg proper, one of the staff said, have you been to the plantations? And I said, no, where are the plantations? This young lady proceeded to direct me 50 miles away from where we were.
Okay.
Because what they understand is that you're already here to see Williamsburg. But if you go there, you'll come back again and you'll spend your dollar again and again. Right. You might make this a vacation spot for your family for years to come. And so we had that opportunity in Mercer County.
Right.
Because when you talk about the turning point here in Trenton and the Battle of Princeton, and then you look at the Freedom Trail. You've got a lot of different opportunities here down in Hopewell, up in Heightstown. We are very historically significant.
We are.
And so for us to really be able to capitalize on that, we have to come up with a plan to generate revenue in that particular area.
I agree.
That's one of the places that I'd like to be able to push. But also educationally, I think that we need to do something about our educational system. Right now I'm working on looking at lead poisoning. Lead poisoning is more common than most people know.
Okay.
And what lead poisoning in children does is it actually leads to damaged brain.
Exactly.
Which is almost, it can be considered a disease.
It is.
Okay, but we don't consider it that way. And here's one of the things that I found out because I'm working on, with IELTS, and we actually just met with the superintendent of schools and Toby Sanders and that crew to talk to them about the fact that you have a significant number of young people that get poisoned by lead. They go to the doctor, parents go because they are given money to actually be able to go to the doctors to get their child tested. There's nothing in legislation that says that a parent has to tell the school district their child's lead poisoning.
Right.
And so when they see the manifestations of that later on down the road and they're learning, and what you're finding is, they gave me the numbers and I started looking at the overlay. Almost overlays perfectly when you look at some of the most challenged urban Abbott districts. What you're finding is high levels of lead poisoning in those particular areas.
Okay.
So you're finding children that are, high numbers of children on IEPs, and, in different issues because the lead poisoning is manifesting itself in a very different way, and nobody's discussing it right now. We need to get that on the radar as well. So there are multiple things that we need to begin to talk about that will impact our children and our communities. And so those are things that I really want to begin to touch as a freeholder.
Okay, I think we'll wrap up on that note. One more piece. I think in terms, Trenton has been his own worst enemy during the Palmer era. and it was extensive. We never tapped in or touched on the marketing of ourselves. Most times because we don't know ourselves. But you have the Washington Crossing, the War Memorial, you have the barracks around here, and you have Philly right up the road, who makes millions of dollars based on bringing in revenue based on their historic sites, and we've never done that. And that is a part of Trenton getting in its own way. Trentonians being uneducated and not taking pride in their own city. We did change, as you stated, the direction of the war, and that needs to be understood. It needs to be taught. It needs to become a part of our educational process. When people feel good about where they are and where they're from, it changes the dynamics of how they move.
Yes, sir. People
in Trenton don't move with a purpose. They just move. And oftentimes they move the wrong way, and then they're directed to go in the wrong way. So we need to really work on that. I'm encouraged. I'm actually ecstatic that you're talking about that, because it's somebody talking with some sense for a change. So thank you. Let's close up on your goals, your roles, your aspirations moving forward politically. Also, touch on what is the county freeholders doing in regards to helping Trenton with our biggest issue right now. If we're going to market anything, we got to clean up the violence. We got to clean up the crazed state of quality of life we have in our city. Clearly, with the lost officers, that's a part of the problem. I think, again, what you're doing over at the Y is phenomenal. You're redeveloping people, their ideology, their desires. I think holistically, we need changes. So in terms of the violence, what are your goals, aspirations politically in terms of the county and just the future as you wrap up?
Well, one of the things that you will see is the sheriff's office has been lending some help here in the city, even though constitutionally that's not their role.
Yes,
So we're actually asking them to kind of do something that's out of place, and they've been doing it because they know that the city needs some help. We also have the prosecutor's office. As you know, we've been working on the gun buyback, but also talk with Prosecutor Bocchini and his staff about talking about the ATVs that are because that's become, once the weather gets warm, it becomes an issue, and so they're going to be coming out with a press conference sometime in the very near future with the new police director to talk about there's some legislation that has some teeth. And how we're going to deal with the ATVs.
Good.
And so it's really about talking about those larger safety issues that the county can be involved in.
Okay.
And so where they can be involved, they will be involved. They've been very committed to doing that. When you look at across the board in general, what are my aspirations? My aspirations are to serve my community. Right now, I'm doing that, and I'm doing it in multiple ways. Being a freeholder gives me more visibility to be able to serve my community in a different way, because I can attract dollars to some of the things that we know need to be served. That's what being a political office is about. It's about being available to people, finding out where the impediments are to allowing them to live a good life where they live, and trying to remove those impediments if you can. If you can't remove the impediments, help them understand where the challenge is so that they can go a different direction.
I got you.
Okay, so those are my greatest aspirations, and to be reelected this upcoming November will help me to continue to do that work in this office for the people in the city of Trenton, but more importantly, the county of Mercer. Because I am a Mercer County freeholder. Some people forget that. Like, I didn't see you at the event last week. It's because I was at one in Robbinsville, one in Hamilton, and then I had to run on
countywide.
Yeah, so I'm all over the county. But it's important to be visible, and it's important to be working with all the different organizations and communities. Bromley had a cleanup this past weekend as well. I mean, it's important to work with all these different entities and make sure that we're bringing light to their challenges, but also bringing light to their victories.
All right. So we want to thank you for coming on, bro. Outstanding work. Samuel Frisby, CEO over at the YMCA on Pennington, doing a lot of work. Stop in, see some of the programming that's going on there. Also, the election coming up in November. Yeah. Get educated, get involved. We'll be doing some voter registration. Ask questions. Find out presidential election coming up as well. So we definitely need to be a part of what's going on and understand what your role is in the process. So have a great day, sir. And we thank you for coming on. We'll have you back again.
I'm looking
and you have an event coming up Saturday.
This Saturday, the 28th, we have the Healthy Kids Day. You can find out more information on our website, and that is TrentonYMCA.org. Definitely connect with us there. Come on out on Saturday, get information about how to live healthy and be healthy.
All right. We'll see you Saturday, bright and early, bro. Thanks again. Have a great day.
All
right. Take care now.
Thank you.
All right. We're moving on. Definitely want to bring the star of the hour in. He's making it happen. I want to thank County Freeholder Sam Frisby for coming in, doing great work. And we're moving on as we move forward to the second part of the interview. We don't need to hesitate to indicate this guy right here is making it happen. This is my brother. I get a little amped up every time I see him because I have a deep love and admiration for him. We say in our community, steel sharpens steel, and mind sharpens mind. And I always am humbled to be around an individual who puts his mouth into it, but then puts his foot to what his mouth just touched. So that's the real work. Good morning, bro.
My brother.
How are you?
How we do?
All right, all right.
Love you, man. That's my man.
No doubt. Got nothing but love for Stacy.
That's right.
Introduce yourself to the listeners, bro.
Hey, this is brother Stacy Headlin from the Female Mentoring Program, also by way of Isles Youth Build.
That's right.
And also by way of the city of Trenton, New Jersey, which I love so much.
No doubt. You definitely do that. You just received the Black Image Award with Andrew Bobbitt and the crew from the Never Give Up organization. Tell us a little bit about that. It was a wonderful opportunity and celebration. Right. Tell us a little bit about that, how you felt, and what that meant to you.
Well, hats off to the organization, Never Give Up. It was a wonderful event. I was very inspired. Listen, one thing I do know, Free, listen, people don't have to be nice.
No doubt.
You know, people don't have to recognize you and do things. And what we do in the community, we don't look for these things. It just happens. This is what we do naturally.
That's right.
You know, it's nothing like getting up in the morning and imparting into the youth and doing some things, whether it's sports, whether it's team building, whether it's just sitting down with them and going to Barnes and Nobles and having a good time and talking with them. So this is what we do. And then you have people that capture those moments and then they want to recognize you for that. And I was truly honored. It felt good. My wife was very pleased about it. She loved the city of Trenton, all the love and support that's given. She's from Philadelphia. And I just was proud of my city on that day, and I felt good.
No doubt.
It was just a good feeling.
No doubt. And it was well-deserved, bro. And one of the things that we do, especially I'm elated, is we carry ourselves in a certain manner.
Right.
Coming up,
always.
Just the way you see Stace dressed now is the way he's always been, immaculate. And that is a part of what we need to have in our community. A lot of people always asking Free and Stace, what's wrong with the babies? Well, if specifically young black men, see other older black men dressed looking like who did it and why, then they're going to follow suit behind the craziness they see in front of them. You have to dress in a certain manner. You have to pull your damn pants up. You have to walk around with shirts on and not undershirts on. You need to be walking around operating as if you know and have some sense and have a sense of purpose. And that is not a white or black problem. That is a problem specifically assigned to our community that we need to deal with. And again, I salute States for the phenomenal work of not just dressing the part, which is a part of education, but also teaching through illustration on a daily basis. There's some great things you're doing, bro, with Isles and Youth Build. Want to talk about some of the things you guys are working on?
Yes, well, Isles Youth Build, listen, I love Isles. As I said at the Image Award, I want to thank Marty and Liz Johnson for giving me the room to operate the way I operate. They know my gift is a God-given gift, and they don't hold any restraints on me. They know I can reach the youth. But then I learned a lot through them about the community and sustainability. We have a program that I'm part of that I run. It's called Youth Grow.
Okay.
We're teaching the kids how to farm.
No doubt.
Of course, I'm not the teacher. But what I do is I galvanize the youth together and let a teacher from Isles Youth Build, Mr. Jim Simon, come in and teach them about vegetation, growing their own foods, understanding where the vegetables are flying in from. And if we grow our own food,
yes, sir.
You know, then guess what? Better sustainability in life, teaching them to eat early. As Sam Frisby said earlier, how they start eating now, it catches up later.
Yes,
so when they're 30 and 40 years old, they get diabetes and things like that. What ends up happening is now they got an eating habit that they just can't change.
No, you're right. You're right. No, that's a good point, bro. You just came back this weekend. I was on your phone like a hostage trying to get a hold of you, make sure you was good. You guys had a phenomenal event. You went down to D.C., the Black Wax Museum.
Yes.
You actually met with the director.
Met with the director.
Talk a little bit about that. What happened, what it entailed, and how the babies benefited from that opportunity.
Oh, they did a lot. Listen, let me tell you about this whole trip. You know, we put together, because, you know, Free, when I put a trip together, I put a whole trip together. I put the whole legwork into it.
Do it upright.
And what ended up happening was I said, you know what, we're going to go to D.C. Our church, True Servant, we have a bus that we can use.
Okay.
So I said, you know what, we're going to do a college tour because, again, you know, the Female Mentoring Program, it's about exposure.
That's right.
It's about taking them out of the circumference, out of the community, going out to somewhere else and learning new things.
That's right.
Seeing how other people live, seeing how it's just not all about gang violence in
That's
the
right.
streets and
That's
being in a bubble.
That's
And
right.
so we take them out. We go down to Washington, D.C. We go to Howard University, one of the most diverse HBCU out.
Okay.
Howard University. So they're there and they're seeing all the pretty girls. Remember, I'm running the mentoring program, so I got to teach them all about the time with girls. Know when you go to school, it's about school.
That's right.
Because don't nobody want a dummy.
No.
So you can go in here chasing girls,
if you
but
want
if your GPA not right and they know that you are the dummy of the school, you get no girls.
And you won't be there long.
How about that? And so after we leave Howard University, which was great and very inspiring, we go to the MLK Center.
Okay.
Now, you know, every year, we honored you one year, the SEED program, we do
doubt.
the MLK breakfast.
No doubt.
It's a fundraiser, and we recognize someone in the community, and the kids recite everything about MLK, his whole life and his legacy. Because one of the things about working with the youth, it's about expression.
It is.
Teaching them how to express. Whatever they learn, I teach them, okay, whatever you learn, now express it.
That's right.
Tell the people what you learned.
That's right.
Speak from the heart.
That's right.
We get to the MLK, and then they had to recite their parts from the MLK breakfast that we done. So that was very inspiring. But the next day when we woke up, we went to the Black and Wax Museum. Freedom, let me tell you.
Talk to him.
We get there and we see that it's located right there in the city, Baltimore City.
Okay.
Right there in the
heart.
In the heart. And I know the kids in their mind was like, man, this is where we're going at. Wow, after we left all these other places. Well, once we get there, we sit down and this guy comes up and he pretty much haphazardly gives us a little bit of talk about history of what's going on with the Blacks and Wax Museum. They see the founder on the video, and she was talking to us about, you know, what they're going to see and what they're going to experience at the Blacks and Wax Museum.
Right.
So when he said, listen, I got a treat for you, sitting behind you as the founder. She came down today just to talk to you, boy.
Nice.
She saw that it was a seed male mentoring program, and then not that it was just a seed male mentoring program, but it was a youth program.
That's right.
And it was men imparting to the youth.
Right.
That she came out of her busy schedule of being somewhere else and sat with us.
Salute.
And talked to us.
Salute.
And I'm telling you, it was a wonderful experience. And she began inspiring the youth and telling them about they are successful for greatness. She was saying she's already prepared a young guy from when he was 10 years old, 15 years ago, help her put the Blacks and Wax Museum together. Right now, he's 25 years old, and he's going to be the successor.
Wow. That's a director right there.
There she go, right there.
All right.
Dr. Martin, her husband had already passed away over, I believe it was in Egypt or Ethiopia, but he passed away and she's running the program.
Nice.
And she spoke directly to the youth and spoke to our heart. And Free, let me tell you, it felt so good to me. My eyes was watery because I was telling you, I had a little troubles going on the trip. I needed a little bit of help.
Oh, no doubt.
People in the community who promised me that they will do a little something. I didn't ask for much.
We'll talk about it.
Free, they made me send everything I sent. I sent everything I could send just for a couple dollars. And at the end, you get no help and no support. Right. And it's about the babies.
It is.
So I was a little discouraged for a minute, you know, but guess what happened? The parents, they come together. They step up and they'll tell me, you don't have to ask anybody for anything.
No doubt.
What is it that you need? You're taking time out with our kids and our babies, and we'll do whatever we have to do to make sure that they're okay.
That's it.
And so the trip was still wonderful. But then when this lady came in and took the time and saluted us, it just made me feel good again.
No doubt.
It made us feel good
again. No doubt. And that's important. And a part of what Joey and I are working on with this show is killing. We're not trying to cure. We're looking to kill the Trenton disease, whereas we become such a selfish, self-centered, self-indulged community of individuals who know everybody, but won't help anybody unless your name's on the flyer, unless you're getting the big up, unless you're on a commercial. So what you're doing, bruh, is so encouraging and invigorating because you're sacrificing yourself to impart your experience onto the next generation. That's how you begin to make that cure and kill off that illness, which is the sickness that is killing our city. It keeps us very divided. It keeps us fragmented. It keeps us fighting in little corners and little battles, and we're ending up losing the war. Our city is off the hook. But I think you're also doing some excellent work, and I always want to salute your pastor. He's doing some great work, or allowing you to work through the work in terms of seeds. Tell us a little bit about your pastor and the work that you're doing with the Seeds Male Mentoring Program.
Well, my pastor is Bishop E. Earl Jenkins, and you know, listen, he's a visionary.
Yes, he is.
And, you know, the great thing about, you know, my bishop was, I'll never forget when I first joined the church, he looked at me, he called me down to the altar and said, listen, You're destined. You're going to be great. You're going to be a man of God. And he said, guess what? But don't change who you are.
Okay.
A lot of times you come in, you have a certain swag. People want to change
That's right.
who you are. You know how it go, Free. But,
Yeah.
And I thank you also for continuing being who you are.
No doubt, bro.
And so we together, and that's what it is like with like minds. So when he came, he said, listen, I want you to be who you are. And I stayed the course. And now I'm getting recognized, and, to God be the glory. Things are happening for me, and all I'm doing is just doing me.
That's right.
Nothing. I'm not going out of the norm, but I care about people.
You definitely do, bro.
And that's the thing. When we talk about working with your God-given ability, all my life, people say, Stacy, you dress nice. You know how to put this on. You know how to do this. But I realized that wasn't my gift.
Right.
Started running into dudes that was really putting a whole lot of time in that I didn't even want to show up around.
Right.
But as I started tapping into my God-given ability, I started realizing you care about people.
That's right.
And you like to be exposed. You don't like to stay in the box. And what I mean by exposure, going to different places. When I was in high school, let me tell you something. I used to leave high school right after school and just drive to Philly.
Okay.
Just got my license, just hang out at the gallery. And I used to watch how people act in big cities.
No doubt.
Go to New York and see how they act in big cities.
No doubt.
And so now it goes on to, as I'm getting older, teaching the kids about exposure, going out, understanding that the world is bigger than Trenton.
Okay.
And making everything a teachable moment.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Right. So we're definitely good on that. So we want to wrap up, bro. And the last piece is, what are you looking to do over the next year or so in terms of the work you're doing? And what can the community do to help you out? Because we definitely have some weak people in this community who are not supporting the work that they know needs to be done. Speak to that directly, quickly, and wrap up in terms of what you're doing.
Well, I know one of the things that I'm in the process now working. I'm trying to get over in that Sam Naples Center and run some programs.
Okay.
We have a lot of programs. I mean, we have a lot of recreational facilities in Trenton, but we also know that there's not too many programs in there. So again, like we talked about earlier, it's about just playing basketball. It's not teaching any life skills. So I want to run a life skill program out of there for the community.
Nice.
Teaching them respect.
Okay.
I have a lot of workshops. One of them is the 10 Commandments for Good Manners.
Okay.
Teaching them social skills. There's 10 different parts to it. So I want to form a whole academy.
Right.
Things like what my brother Bruce Boyd is doing.
Okay.
Teaching these babies.
The right
but
way.
Forming a whole academy of young men full of respect.
Okay. So I want to thank you for coming down, bro. And we're going to keep working with you, bro.
And
let nobody tell you nothing different. I love you, bro. And I appreciate everything you do because we keep the sword sharp around here. You have a great day and keep touching these babies, bro.
That's right.
Tell the pastor I said peace.
Sure will.
Got one more coming in. Come on in here, Nas. You can get some body work in a minute, too, because you definitely out of order. Hurry it up, bro. Yeah, we don't want to hear about that. The listeners don't want to hear about that sorry story you got right there. Come on in. We just need you to get in here, bro. Now you want to look cute in your suit.
Take my little jacket off.
Yeah, you're terrible. And I'm going to talk about you for the next 10 days straight.
I know you is.
How are you?
I'm doing
glad you made it,
well.
bro. Introduce yourself to the listeners. Come on over. All right. Introduce yourself to the listeners. Let them know who you are.
My name is Venice Johnson. I just opened up a new restaurant. It's called Thomasena Takeout. And I'm here with you, Free.
All right. And I think we'll get right to it. We're short on time here because Nas won't take his time on the highway, slow roll, and talking about some, I'm in Philly and I'm jammed up. All right. You just opened the restaurant, bro.
Mm-hmm.
What was the inspiration and what are you looking to do there?
The inspiration was basically it was a need. It was something that we really needed in the community. Some good food at a reasonable price. You know, we, as you know, we ain't got a whole lot of money.
Right.
But we seem to spend a lot of money.
With everybody but ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I'm just providing the people with something that they need. Like I said, some good food at a reasonable price. I'm in a neighborhood that I grew up in, so it feels good. I'm getting a lot of respect and a lot of love.
No doubt.
People think it's bad around there, but it's really not that bad.
No, and actually, what Nas is doing, he's real humble with it. He's changing the dynamics of the environment by being the change that he knows needs to be there, providing good quality food. He's also an entrepreneur. He's also teaching the science of how to be an entrepreneur and providing employment for other young individuals in the community. Bro, you're really from what we're working on real heavy right now, from the block to the boardroom and moving that transition and mindset in place. You're really from the block to the boardroom story. Had a couple speed bumps, and now you have your own business. Talk about that transition from going to a headache to being a problem solver? I'm just really impressed with you, bro. Talk about that transition. What inspired you to come up out of the wrong lane and get on the good foot? Did you see that move I just did? Get on the good foot.
Yeah.
Talk to him
Because the
about
bad
that.
foot was hurting.
All right.
You know what I mean? It was painful. And I want to be a inspiration, you know, for the youth out there. You know, let them know that you know, you might have had some speed bumps, like you said,
Right.
but there's gold at the end of the rainbow.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? As long as you have the right intentions and you know, if you want good, you can get good.
That's right.
You know, but if you want bad, if you stay in bad, that's what you're gonna get. Bad begets bad.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
real. That's real.
Definitely.
And I think a part of what Nas is, and Joey and I always talk about this, young people who are sitting around the city saying you don't have this and you don't have that and you can't make this and you can't make that. You can make whatever you choose to. It starts with self-determination. It starts with the drive, and Nas has that, a mission and a mold to burn from within to provide something he saw in his community that was lacking.
Yes.
Now, good quality food is right in the area where we really didn't have that. You know, most in the community now are local bodegas.
Yes.
And when you go in there, you know, the food sometimes can be a little left field.
Yes, it can.
You know, and real, you know, come on, we need to go in. I'm not knocking them. I respect their business, but we certainly need to stop being beggars all the time and get into a producer's mindset. Tell them a little bit about what made you want to come in and do that, bro.
You know, like I said, it was just you know, I was tired of you know, getting the subpar meals. Having to go way to West Bubble to get something nice. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I did. Yeah, to get a decent meal.
Right.
You know, so I just took my time. I planned it out, and I wanted to make sure I put the right pieces together.
No
you
doubt.
know, my the chef, Chef Don, he's awesome.
Right.
He's passionate, you
No
know,
doubt.
about what he does, and I'm passionate about what I do,
No doubt.
which is you know, providing a nice atmosphere. As you
No
know,
doubt.
141 Spring Street,
Right.
Trenton, New Jersey, on
Okay.
the corner of Spring and Calhoun.
That's right.
Once you come in, you feel good because it's a feel good environment.
No doubt.
I'm playing old school
Yeah,
R&B.
the DAS in there, bro.
Yeah, no, it wasn't DAS.
What
It
you
was
had?
a CD.
You're not even official like that.
Oh,
but go ahead.
Listen. Old school.
Okay.
Old school music. That's all we play is old school music.
No doubt.
Jazz. So we setting a tone.
No
so
doubt.
if you come in there kind of amped up, we're gonna take you down a level. You know, just because of the atmosphere.
No doubt.
And you know, that was the whole plan, you know, to make it
that.
like that.
I respect
because we deserve something.
No doubt, bro. And sometimes people get mad when we say this in terms of minority or black businesses. Our young people, our babies need to see success stories. If success isn't tangible, if you're always going somewhere and everyone around you is a failure, then honestly, that's what you emulate.
Yes.
So taking pride, being responsible, opening up a business, being efficient and effective, bringing a qualitative service to our people in our community, making yourself a valuable component, bro. That's really something to salute, and I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yes.
What are you looking to do with the city in terms of your growth and development, and how are you reaching and working with the mayor, council, if I can ask that, and well, it's my show, I can ask that.
Yes, you can.
In regards to the direction of what else you like to do, or next step. You have the store, you're providing a service, you're helping the community. What would you like the city to do for you or to meet you halfway in your plans?
Well, actually, my next step would be to open up another location.
All right.
So I can provide some more employment.
Okay.
For those that are unemployed.
I like that.
And actually, I'm looking for an experienced short order cook right now as we speak.
Did you hear that?
If you're out there watching, and if you are experienced, once again I say experienced, because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put you back there in the kitchen, and I'm gonna see if you know your way around. If you don't know your way around, basically you got to get out of there.
All right.
You know, but that's what we're looking for right now. We're looking for a short order cook, once again at 141 Spring Street,
no doubt,
Trenton, New Jersey, the corner of Spring and Calhoun.
All right.
Thomasena's Takeout.
No doubt. No doubt.
Basically, you know, I just want to do the right thing, man.
Okay.
And by doing the right thing, I'm gonna get right things.
I heard that.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to thank Nas for finally blessing us with his presence.
Yes.
You know, he flew in from Aruba, but it's all good. And I certainly want to salute him. for doing the great things he's doing. Again,
I'm
our
sorry, can I
job.
just say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Back to the babies, when you was talking about the babies. The reason why I brung it back to the hood, because the babies need to see me. They need to see somebody like them,
Okay.
so that they can have something to look up to. They don't have a lot of positives
That's right.
to look up to right
That's
now.
right. That's
So I
right.
just wanted to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not flawless. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to give them something that they can look up to, and something that they can something that they can get themselves a goal to achieve.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Because I always give myself goals, and I strive to achieve them. Because if you don't have any goals, you're like a bean in a big pot of water. You're just floating around with the current.
That
You
was
know
a
what I'm
nice
saying?
little parallel there, Nas.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes, sir.
brought
Just
that
want to
from
drop a
Barnes and
little
Noble, bro.
jewels. That's a
I
Just little
respect.
jewels. Not
Nice
too
work
much.
though. But again, what we're doing here on Freedom on the morning in Trenton, New Jersey on Monday mornings is Trentonians who are doing real things to solve the real problems in a real troubled city. We're not going to cry and complain. There are no complaint slips to fill out. If you see an issue, a problem, or something that needs to be addressed, get out of the mirror. Get off the sideline and begin to address it. I want to thank Nas for coming out and doing what he does over at Thomasena's Takeout, 141 Spring Street. Go over and support his business. Please support my brother, Stacy Heading, and all of the phenomenal work he's doing with the Seeds Male Mentoring Program, his phenomenal pastor out on South Broad Street. And shout out and salute to County Hope Freeholder Sam Frisby for coming on and laying out the great works he's doing over at the YMCA on Pennington Avenue. He has an event coming up Saturday for educating and walking with the young minds and the people and teaching and developing our people to be better in terms of who they are. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. Damn it, it's a right thing when you get your mind right and get your game tight and live your life with a point, purpose, and direction that you're looking to rebuild. Revitalization starts in the mirror, Nas.
Yes, it
Can't be
does.
nobody but us first. And if we don't get ourselves first, self-savior, then who will save us? There
Mm,
are no
mm,
mysteries,
mm,
and we're the answer to our reality. Be like Ephesians 6 and 9, bro.
mm,
Keep
mm,
that good
mm.
work going.
Yes, sir.
In our due season, we will get our reward.
Yes, we
If we
will.
faint not. You didn't think I read the Bible, bro.
Mm,
I'm a
mm,
problem when it
mm.
comes onto this. We love you here, Trentonian.com. Tune in to Joey Colkin because he's the boss around here. Just let me do what I do. We love you. Trentonians, work hard, stay focused, and be the answer to the problem instead of being the problem we need an answer to. Peace.